Finally, you guys made it to part 3. This is a 3-part series that we're doing on a Tesla hood. And we're at the clear coat and color sand and polish, install, and some other stuff. So I'm so glad you guys have made it all the way to this part. This will go over the color sanding, the clear coating, the color sanding, the polishing, and kind of everything in between. If you haven't seen part 2 or part 1, part 2 was airbrushing and getting it to the stage we're at now. And part 1 was what was wrong with the hood and why we're doing this whole entire job. So kick back, relax. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, this is it. Just have to wipe this down. Clean it off and then tack cloth it. Mix up some clear. And this is on the drying stage. So we'll shoot some clear on it, then we'll wait. Usually I like to wait at least 24 hours, but 72 is a little better before we color sand and polish. You want the clear to get hard, but you don't want it to get too hard to where you can't polish it out. So there's a window there. Okay, that's all cleaned off. Make sure you wrap the corners when you clean. Or just got to make sure I did that. Because sometimes you'll leave a little bit of sanded dry spray underneath, which I think I did. And then you hit that with the clear and it's no good. Because we have to clear our edges. That's important. All right, tack cloth time. Make sure there's no little things hanging around. And if there is, they'll be color sanded and polished off anyways. We just have to make sure there's no color. Most of the dirt will probably come from your gun or your body when you're spraying. So the first coat is really light. It's kind of just a tack coat. You don't want to spray it on too heavy because where we did the airbrushing stuff, you can have issues. So the lighter you go, the better off. It's kind of like saying, hey, this is the new clear. This is what you're going to be using. And then our next coat, we can go on a little heavier. So that's coat number 1. We're going to do 3 coats. I'll go ahead and keep on doing clears, but I want to get my camera out of here, so I'll just keep doing layers. I'll talk to you when we're done. Welcome to the color sand and polish section. We painted this hood a couple days ago, and now we're color sand and polishing it. So why do we color sand and polish? Well, if you've shot clear on anything, you know that little tiny debris can get into it, or there's a texture that is normal in spraying. It's called orange peel. Now, how bad the orange peel is depends on your gun setup, your spray booth conditions, your temperature, type of clear you're using. All different things cause orange peel. My number one problem is, like you guys saw shooting inside a garage, we turned the air pressure down so we could actually see and breathe. So that takes the gun out of normal conditions and adds a little bit of orange peel into it. Kind of the price we pay for trying to do this in a garage. The other thing is a little bit of dust or debris or whatever can get on the surface and cause little tiny imperfections into it. It all color sands out. It all looks beautiful when you color sand and polish it. Actually, probably better than if you didn't do it. So I start out with a little bit of a rougher grit. We start out with 1000 grit, and then we work our way up to 2000, sometimes 3000. And then we polish it. Done. So what we're looking for when we color sand and polish is we're looking for the surface to be a uniform flatness all over. So you're doling the surface, kind of like we did at the very beginning. You're doling the surface, but making sure that you're sanding it flat. The rougher the grit you use, the flatter that surface becomes. The drawback is the harder it is to get those scratches out. So if you started with like 400, you're doing 400, 600, 800, 1,000. You're trying to get that 400 scratch out. So if you start with 1000, where a lot of buffing compounds can pull that out, can pull out 1000 grit scratches. So if you start with 1000, then you're more likely to get them all out, even if you miss some with the finer grits. So you can do this all by hand. You don't have to use a machine, but I use a DA for my first couple grits because the DA can actually cause problems. You can sand through pretty quickly, and it can cause a little dirt nub that gets into the surface that causes what they call pigtails. It kind of looks like a little squirrely pigtail. So it's better to start with something that is not so harsh. And if you're new to it, do it by hand. Just spend your time, do it by hand. So you add as much water to the surface as you can because that's the lubricant and the cleaner, and it cleans off all the old that you're sanding off. The more water you use, the better off you are. I use a pressurized spray bottle so I can keep it flowing. Some people use a hose on low and just let it flow. And I've seen people use buckets of water, which is not that great to do. Because a bucket of water, you're getting dirt, contamination onto that rag, dipping it in the water, putting it back on. Now you're just recycling all that dirt. So you're going to have more scratches that you need to get out. So I'm going to go ahead and continue sanding on this. It's going to get real boring because nobody wants to watch me stand around sanding. I don't even want to watch it. Usually I crank up good music and just kind of go to town and just get in my own little zone and world and let it go. So I'll sand the whole entire hood out with 1000 grit. Make sure that all the imperfections are out of it. And then I'll come back to you guys and talk to you about the 1500 and how we know we've sanded enough with 1500. Which, spoiler alert, you really don't. You just got to know by knowledge. And you kind of feel it a little bit, but we'll get to that. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this out, and we'll come back. I've been working on a Tesla hood all the week-long days. Time to do a little color sanding, just to pass the time away. All right, 1000 grit is done. It does take time, especially if there's any dirt that is kind of like a fisheye. A fisheye is kind of more of a crater than a piece of dirt that's on the surface. So the bumps sand down real quick, but if it's a dished out area, you're sanding the whole entire area down to that level. So it does take a little bit longer. Try not to get those, but it happens. This car is a detailer's car, so it's a guy that constantly uses detailing products on it. So I should have known better, knowing that we're going to be dealing with some issues on it. In reality, we didn't really have that many issues. But somebody that uses anything with silicones in it, or even ceramic coatings, those coatings, they're really hard to get off. So, you know, you should wipe the whole entire hood down with acetone first, and then use a grease and wax remover. So that way you're kind of starting with a clean slate. We really didn't have any problems with this, but we could have. So there's still a couple here and there's, but I'm going to leave them for the 1500 to get out. If it doesn't get it out, we could always go back in and hit those little areas. 1000 grit being done, now it's time to switch to 1500. Now, whenever you use color sandpaper, actually any wet sandpaper, you want to soak it in water for about 15 to 20 minutes. Just kind of throw it in the water and it'll curl up into a little tiny round tube, and then you know it's ready to use. I've always been told to do that. I've always done it. And I think they say that it makes the sandpaper last a lot longer. And at the cost of sandpaper these days, we want longer. So I'm going to use a soft block, which is just basically a piece of rubber and some foam, and you wrap it up in it and you're ready to go. Now this, you really can't listen to music to when you're doing it, because you're listening for a scratch. A scratch, let me see, I could make the edge of a paper sound that way sometimes. You hear that? That's what you're listening for. You want a nice sound to it. Here, you don't hear any high pitches. If you catch a piece of dirt, it'll sound like a high-pitched frequency noise. Sometimes when you have edges hanging out on the sandpaper, those edges can make that noise. So that's what I was trying to get it to do earlier. So now we're going to take the 1500 grit and just sand it. Now remember, you want to sand everywhere you can get a buffer. If you can't get a buffer there, usually I try not to sand it. Like in these areas, I would not sand. Because really, you're not sanding anything out of it. If it's real bad, then I would sand it down and reshoot it. I wouldn't try to color sand and polish in tight areas like that. I still feel the Tesla logo a little bit when I'm sanding, but it won't be too bad. With as many layers of candy and stuff that I did on that, I think, you know, if it was a full show car, which I think this car might be, but I think he daily drives it. It has a ton of miles on it. I would probably 400 the hood and re-clear it, but it's pretty flat. So once again, you want to keep a lot of water, a lot of lubricant on it. Sometimes you can put a little bit of Dawn into the mix of the water. A little soap helps with lubrication. So what we're doing is we're sanding out 1000 grit scratches. We're trying not to sand out any problems because those should have been taken care of already with the 1000 grit. And sanding out from 1000 to 1500 takes a little bit of time, but not near as bad as the 1000 grit. And when you start getting to where the 1000 grit scratches are gone, the sandpaper block will start getting sticky. You'll start feeling more of a friction, more of a grab. So once again, sanding. You guys aren't going to want to watch this. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up with this grit, and then we'll start with the 2000 grit. If you guys have any questions, put them down in the comments down below and I can answer them for you. We got the 1500 done. So now the hood could be polished at this stage. 2000 just makes it a little bit quicker to get out the scratches. The buffing compound I use, well, he calls it a polish. The buffing polish I use will get out 1500 scratches pretty easy, pretty quickly. But I just want to make sure that we got all those pigtails out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it with 2000 grit. And it's basically the same exact process as the 1500. And I like to go in kind of like a crisscross pattern. So I'll sand one direction, then I'll sand the other. And what we like doing when we wear out the paper, because you fold it in threes, when we wear out the paper, we'll take a little bit of the paper and just tear a little tiny tear in it. And that lets you know that you sanded that with that side. And, you know, it's basically dull, and so that way you don't throw away your paper each time. This paper's done, you know, a couple jobs. So and once again, you kind of feel when you're sanded enough, but with 2000 it gets a little harder. So you kind of just go with what you know. You know, you do it a couple times. If you polish and you notice you have a lot of scratches left, then you know you didn't go enough with that grit. And on certain jobs, you could actually switch directions. You know, like the 1500 would just be sanded straight, the 1000 could be sanded this direction and the 2000 could be the other. And that way you kind of know what scratches which. So when you're buffing, you could say, oh, I got 1000 scratches in there. I can't just hit it with 2000 and get those out. I mean, you could, but not easily. So now I can feel that they're starting to get a lot of, gets harder to push. A lot of friction on the surface. So I know I'm basically done with that area with 2000. So I'm going to go ahead and do the whole entire hood this way. And then we'll hit it with some polish. All right, now we take one of my favorite product, Aquanil. And this is from a company called Croftgate USA. And we just spray a little bit on. Doesn't need to be a lot. We're just cleaning the surface of any of that 2000 grit sand scratch material on it. And this is a waterless wash. So this is basically what you use on the vehicle from now on. You don't need water. Water only works good for rusting out surfaces. I mean, carbon fiber, we're not going to rust it, but just like Corvettes, there's still steel parts inside this, so that way it's mountable. But you still don't want to add water to anything. It doesn't need it. The products now are so good, we don't need to waste water. So I'm going to clean this all off, get it all ready for polishing. This is the 2000 grit is all done. So now we should have a full uniform scratched surface. Nice evenly scratched. Weird that you have to sand it to make it shiny, right? That's kind of cool. I mean, actually we're making it flat by sanding it, but that adds to the gloss. It'll also make all the pearls and metallics come out a little bit more. So now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and start polishing. Which brings me up to another favorite product that I use. I used to hate polishing. Polishing was always really hard to get rid of any sand scratch. You had to work it, and then you had to wash it in order to see if it worked. And that's because a lot of the companies add fillers and other stuff into their polish to make it shiny, to make it look like it did a great job, even though it really didn't. So I use a product now called CSI. And not that CSI, but it's Clear Coat Solutions. I don't know what the I stands for. Incorporated? Probably. So once again, I have a Bauer polisher. I usually don't like setting these on the surface, but I don't have a place to set it right now. Well, I plug it in. Because just setting anything on a surface of a vehicle, we'll scratch it. You know, the people that sit there and write their names on the side of the car or something like that, it's scratching the surface. Killing me, Larry. All right. Okay, so we're going to start out just by adding a little bit of polish. Might be a little too much, but that's more than we need for that good center section of the hood. Now you also don't, let me find a pocket here. You also don't want to hit it with a dry pad. So I put a little bit of water on it. Moisten up the pad a little bit. Now, if this is your first time polishing, you always want the direction of the pad to go off the edge of the surface. You don't want to work the buffer onto the surface because it'll grab the edge, burn the paint through, and throw the part, or rip the buffer right out of your arms. Also, when you're working next to body lines, if you're new and uncomfortable, put a piece of tape on it. That way you don't have to worry about taking the paint off of it, because this is removing paint. It's removing clear coat. That's how it's actually polishing. Now with the CSI, it's a little harder to burn through. I found that the other compounds seem to dry up a lot quicker and burn through. Since today is really hot, we're gonna have to really worry about getting the surface temperature too hot. So that's why we use a slower speed. I'm using about 1200 RPM right now, and it polishes up so quickly. It's amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little more polish because I stopped. So I don't want to just keep polishing because I'll take a chance of creating more heat. The polish is actually acting as a lubricant to cool the surface. So I'll look around for it and then realize it's in my pocket. Put a little more compound on it. And you can see already that the surface is already bringing up a nice shine. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the reflection, I'm looking at the lights, and I'm trying to see if I can see any sand scratches in the surface. So you kind of move back and forth looking for any type of scratch or anything like that. Under the fluorescence or the LED lights, you'll see a lot more scratches than you would out in the sun. So I recommend doing it inside, and then you know that you got all the scratches out if you see any, or if not, then you're good to go. I mean, you won't see any outside. So I'm going to continue going. That looks good. I don't see any scratches. So I'm going to keep polishing. I'm just going to polish out the whole entire hood, and then I'll come back for our next stage. Because believe it or not, this is not as shiny as it gets. We got one more stage. Okay, I got the first stage done, so I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some aqua now. And look for little any areas, who learned me how to spoke. Look for any areas that I missed. Or any scratches or anything like that. It's so hot out right now, I don't have to use 2 towels to dry it off. So I'm looking for any dull areas, any scratches. I'm looking at the reflection of the light. And I'm trying to get it lined up with the light bulb to see if I can see any dulls or any light spots or any surface contamination. This rag is getting too saturated. The rag gets too wet, then we just grab a drier one and go over it with a dry towel. Which you should do anyways. This is the dryer towel. Yeah, it looks a little dull in here. But no, it could be the pearl. Could be the pearl. So we're going to wipe this all off. Stare at it for a while. See how good we are. As my dad always says, we're so good we don't have to brag. It's not us that's good. It's a product that makes us look good. Because using the wrong product on this, we'd still be trying to sand it out. Okay, now I'm going to look at it real close. Get down there and try to find anything that looks like it could be an issue. And I think we're looking pretty good. It's looking shiny. Okay. This is the cool part about CSI. The polishing company we're using. I'll show you. I just changed the pad. I'm going to use the same exact product. There's no changing. There's no, you got to buy this product and this product and this product to get a perfect finish. It's one and done. Once again, I'm going to wet the pad. Okay, so this product, or this section of working with this product, the foam pad, you start out at about 1,000 RPM, maybe 1,200, and then you slow it down as you go. And the slower you go, the more swirl marks you get out. And that's the design of this product. The design of using the red pad with this setup is to get rid of the scratches that you put in with the blue pad. Even though they're really small, really minimal, it's still it still happens. That's part of cutting and polishing. So now we're just gonna continue with this. So we started up to about 1,000 RPM. And then we'll slow it down. All right, so I'm going to do that to the whole entire hood, and then I'll come back and we'll clean it all up and look at it. Maybe we'll put it out in the sun and see if we see any scratches or swirl marks or anything like that. Yeah, let's do that. That's it. A little bit of foam padding. Let's clean this off. Let's get it out in the sun and let's see what we look like. With CSI, you could polish out in the sun. The problem is we're so hot right now that I don't want to be out there. Plus surface temperatures, there's no point in putting it through that. And polishing outside, you have a very good chance of picking up dirt. And it wouldn't take much to put a scratch in it. So why would you want to do that? But you could take it to a park. If you live in an apartment or something like that and you got a way to have power to polish. They do have the cordless polishers. Milwaukee, DeWalt, I think they all make one. And you could use that, go to a park and kind of hang out and polish. We don't often do story time with Rick, but I remember back in the day, my dad had a 62 Chevy pickup truck, and he used to take us up into the dirt fields, and we'd ride our bikes the whole day, and he'd sit there and wax and polish his truck. He told me one time he used Johnson floor wax as a polish. Or as a wax, and it took him forever to get it off. But that part of the truck, when we repainted it, it was still shiny. So it actually worked. All right, let's fold this up, fold this, do this, do that. This rag's getting a little too saturated, but it'll be good enough for what we're doing today. We're just checking it out. Oliver is going to come pick this up on Friday. So it'll be sitting here for a week. All right, let's get this out in the sun. I want to see what the pearls look like. See what our candy looks like out in the sun. It looks amazing. I don't see any swirl marks in it. I'll tilt it up a little bit for you guys to see. And to me, it's looking pretty good. I'll grab the camera and kind of walk around and describe what a swirl mark is. I'm looking to see if there is any, and I don't see any to compare it to. But my neighbor's car is out there, so maybe we could go look at that. And I could kind of show you guys what a swirl mark is. Yeah, I don't see any, and I'm looking hard. And today's kind of a overcast day. It's not overcast, it's hazy. So the reflection, the hood is not perfectly reflecting. Let me see, is that a scratch? Yeah, we got a scratch. Okay, there's a hairline scratch right here. So we'll polish that out. We'll do that right now. We'll do that in the sun. Okay, that's looking good. That is hot. You almost can't touch the hood. Okay, let's go ahead and foam pad that. Let's go the other way. Slow it way down. Now this is an old foam pad too, so it's not a good demonstration. I would say you want to change your pads out probably every job, maybe every other job. When I say job, I mean like complete car. All right, this is looking good. The sun doesn't look like a complete round ball right now because it's so hazy out. Do a quick little wipe down, a little bit of Aqua. Now, Aqua, there's no wax in it. That's what's kind of cool about this stuff. They do have a product called Aqua X, which has a wax in it, which is what I try to get all of my customers and friends and all those people out there that trust me with their stuff. I try to get them to use it because I want them to be able to wax the surface of paint real easy. You know, I don't want them struggling with wax or it being so hard they just don't want to wax anymore. But that's important. Wax will save your paint job. If you don't wax it, you'll be seeing me soon. You want to keep wax on it. I would say at least once a month. I mean, the way I kind of feel is every time you wash your car, you should be waxing it. Got a little bit of compound in here. Now this compound cleans up with water. So all the old compounds that I used to use were petroleum based, and it took forever to try to get all that compound out of the cracks. And if you didn't, it could actually melt it into the surface. So you'd actually have compound stuck into your paint. So since this clear is pretty fresh, we have to get this polish out of all the cracks, crevices, make sure none of it's there so it melts in. This paint is still wet. It takes about a full month for it to fully cure. So that's what they tell you, never wax your car after you get it painted. You gotta wait about a month. Let all those reducers and everything, chemicals all dry and flash out of it. So I should have stayed on that side. Yeah, that's right. Is that the size of it opens?
Yeah, that's right there. Let me go with the top one first. That's a little bit on there.
Okay, balance the hood.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
It has to come towards me.
What's up, guys? My name is Oliver. I'm with DIY Auto Detailing Supplies, powered by Croftgate USA. I have a 2018 Tesla Model 3. I had a carbon fiber hood. I go to car shows all the time. My carbon fiber hood was fading horribly. And my car is definitely not too boring. As you can see, you know, I've got some carbon fiber, a whole bunch of other cool knickknacks. I'm on airbags, so naturally I'm going to want to make sure that my faded carbon fiber hood took it to another level. Fortunately, my relationship with Rick through Croftgate USA has afforded me to be close enough to him and reach out. I reached out to him and I said, hey, you know, I got this carbon fiber hood that's a mess. What can we do? We tried sanding it down. Unfortunately, the damage was in the resin. So shy of buying a whole new hood, instead of coming back with the carbon fiber look, he gave me this. He color matched it to the car and then added some beautiful airbrushed pizzazz,
Electricity or something.
So yeah, I really appreciate it. You know, the car's 7 years old. Fortunately, because of my Croftgate USA cleaning techniques and the products that I've used, I've been able to keep it. We've got about 35 awards now. I'm probably going to kick it up a couple of notches with this custom hood.
At least add horsepower.
At least to add horsepower on top of the sugar candy that I give out in there. But I'm super stoked. You know, when you look at it through the sun, where he was able to give it a fresh new look, but still gave it a little bit of age, so it's not obvious that it's a new piece, or like, you know, a new piece to the whole car. So it's still kind of blended in, and I think that's a technique that only skilled artists can do. It's almost like your drywallers and painters in construction, right? Only the really good ones can get rid of some of that, the differences in the hues. So super appreciative for what he's able to do. I know in the other videos you'll see how he did some of this magic. He was explaining it to me completely over my head. I just said, okay, wow, this is
let me
amazing.
know when the video's out.
Yeah, I'll pause it and examine. But you know, in those videos you're going to see the level of detail. And I think as he was explaining it to me, right, I'm seeing 2 or 3-ish colors, but the reality is there's like 7 or 8, and then multiple layers, and then multiple passes. So definitely worth the trust in the artist. So I'm, as you can tell, I'm kind of speechless. I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, so I think it's definitely a fantastic addition to the theme of my car. I have a lot of green accents. Seat belts are glowing green. There's masks in there. There's underglow. There's all these lights. But then not only is it a daily driver, not only is it an amateur show car, I take it to the racetrack. I'll swap out the wheels with, I have some track tires and track wheels, change my suspension because all of the suspension's adjustable. And then after that, I'll use my DIY auto detailing supplies. I sell Profgate USA. I'm the only one in Southern California that's authorized to sell the product. So that's been fun, you know, just melding all of these worlds together. And then if you haven't noticed, this is a Tesla, so it's all electric. So I still get to go hang out with gas people too, and try to explain to them that, you know what, just because we're propelled with a different fuel, we're still righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and we're here to have a good time.
You just don't have to stop at the gas pump. You got to stop at the gas pump. Charging pump.
I can stop at the charging pump, and then I usually take a nap, or if the car's dirty, I'll wipe it down with Aquanil or Aquanil X, and then by the time I start sweating, I'm back inside the car.
So you take this to car shows.
Yes.
You display your product.
Yes.
You show people and new people this is how you take care of paint.
Yes.
And everything else on the car. I care about the paint.
Yes.
But everything else, I mean, from tires, rims, interior, everything is done through your company, yes. DIY. So I'm going to put the link down below, and I'll also put it in the description so you can go and order some of this stuff, because everybody asks me, where do I get this from? And this is the guy.
I'll get it to you.
So, and he'll give you a good price. He'll take care of you if you say Primo Customs Adventures sent you. And it just works. We used the Aquanil X on this, which has the wax in it, and it's within 10 days of being painted. I know that wax does not completely seal the finish, and it allows it to breathe, so we won't have any problems down the road, which is checking, cracking, solvent popping, all different stuff that could happen with fresh paint and some of these products that are out with petroleum distillates and all that stuff in them. This stuff has none of that. And I've been using this stuff for 10 years, maybe longer, maybe 15.
Yeah, a lot longer than I think you and I met around 2018, 2019.
And it was way before that.
Yeah.
So it was basically right after I did a overhaul. So, I mean, this is, the proof is in the pudding, and this is the pudding. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys watched part 1, part 2, maybe part 3, but we'll try to keep it just 2 parts. And we went from basically a hood that needed to be worked on to a hood that a normal customer would bring you if you're my airbrush guys. Then we showed you how to prep that, and then all the way to finish and bolt on.
Yeah.
So you guys will know everything that we did here. You guys will know how to do it. So thank you guys for watching. See you on the next adventure.
See me on the road, honk. If my windows are up, I might not hear you, but honk anyway.
If you take a picture of his car, I'm going to do something he doesn't know I'm going to do. If you take a picture of his car he'll send you out a free sticker.
There you go.
You just give him an address and he'll get you a free sticker.
It'll look like that.
So now you guys know how to do a hood complete with a little bit of graphics. You started it from a problem hood. You primed it, sealed it, sanded it, clear coated it. You base coated it first, then you clear coated it. Then we sanded it again. We did graphics on it, some airbrush work, and then we cleared it again. Then we color sanded it and then polished it. So there's a lot of stages there. So I'm so glad you guys have watched this series. I know it's been a long one. Most of my series seem to be, but we're trying to get the videos a little bit shorter. I know part 2 was a long one, but there was so much that I wanted to show on airbrushing and how I do what I do that it just grew. I'm glad there's fast forward on YouTube. I'm sure you guys are too. So that concludes the series of the Tesla hood. And if you guys want to check out some more of our projects, I'd be honored. And please like and subscribe. We're really trying to get our subscription numbers up higher. And you guys are awesome. We'll talk to you. See you on the next adventure.